Hello, hello, hello. You are tuning in to another episode of The Wunderkind Show. Today's topic, you saw the thumbnail, is Lamar Jackson injury prone. Do you know why that was in the thumbnail? Do you know why it was brought up? Because that's been the coping mechanism for everybody trying to understand Baltimore's plight. And you know what? Baltimore, the front office, the organization, has let it fester to this. So I got 4 words for Baltimore. 4 words. And I want to make sure that they ring out integrally on this show. Do you have shame? Let's make it 5. Do you have no shame? And I'm going to get into what I mean when I say that. You know, usually Nitro doesn't look at these talk shows and take them seriously. I critique them at times, but I don't take them serious. But there has been an unscrupulous trend of putting it into people's thoughts, people's psyches, people's minds, that Lamar Jackson is injury prone because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons. And I want to make sure that I poke every hole available into that thoughtless balloon of lies and deception. Lies and deception. Hear me and hear me well. We have watched the Baltimore Ravens build this team supposedly around Lamar Jackson. We have watched this team take shortcuts around the player named Lamar Jackson. And I'm going to go into what I mean by shortcuts. The last 2 seasons, not including this one, the O-line was a problem. It was so much of a problem that EDC himself had to come out and say it was my fault. Do you know why he didn't even have to say that for us to know? Lamar Jackson was running, and I mean this in the actual word, figuratively and literally, running for his life behind the line that they built for him. The Ravens, while building this so-called contender, up at the last 3 years, we're taking in a totality of the last 3 years, didn't give him a proper O-line. Made Ronnie Stanley's hurt, so we're just going to do patchwork, and get that absolute abomination, Villanueva, to cover Lamar Jackson's blind side. Patrick McCarry on the other side. And I forgot who was even snapping him the ball. And what happened in the playoffs was the center was a problem. Oversnaps the ball, having Lamar Jackson back there. He's throwing him the ball like he Randy Moss way over his head. So he has to run to go get back the ball so it's not a fumble because he wouldn't quit on the play. You know, diving after the ball, trying to make sure that his team can stay competitive. You know, the same thing that you guys went at Cam Newton so strongly about. Oh, yeah, act like I don't remember. And listen, you remember when he should have jumped on the ball. He should have Supermaned on the ball. Lamar Jackson ran down the ball, threw it out of bounds, and got absolutely hammered. They hit him. Hey, and another thing too, on that hit, it wasn't even called as a foul hit. They hit him in his face. They hit him in his legs. He flipped him, bent him like a pretzel to get the pass off. No calls, no nothing. No for the passer, nothing like that. But that's when he was concussed. And you know what they said? Oh, Lamar Jackson could have finished the game. Oh, yeah, he don't have it. Okay. The next season, guy comes over from the other side, gets through the line quite easily, I might add. Lamar Jackson tries to throw the ball away, lands on his ankle. Ankle swells up. And Lamar Jackson's knocked out of the remaining games. Mind you, he left the so-called deep team, built for depth at 8-3, leading not just the AFC North, but the entire AFC. The team goes forward to lose every single game after that. Why was he in that game? Poor offensive line play. Okay. This season, you put a backup to the backup tight end to block a great pass rusher. And lo and behold, he beats him, chases down Lamar, and drives him into the ground from the back, including his knee, which he gets hurt. Now, here's where I'm going with this. That's all your offensive line problems that caused his injuries. Not running the ball like you guys are subtly putting out there in the universe. Not him dipping, diving, ducking, and dodging. No. Him trying to be the QB of a weaponless team is what caused him to be injured. That's the gospel truth. But you don't live and you don't want that truth to manifest. So you know what you do? Because you know he's such a polarizing figure. Because once again, y'all didn't do a great job of protecting him in the media all those previous years. It's such a divided conversation when it comes to him. So what you're doing is you're playing the other side. Republicans and Democrats, baby. And you're hoping that you're not the bad guy in this situation when everybody with an ounce of common sense knows that you are. It's not even enough that you didn't give him proper weapons. You failed to protect him. It goes back to the same thing I've been saying. The Baltimore Ravens did not know what they had in Lamar Jackson. What they were hoping for was somebody to help sell tickets. Somebody that could be a little exciting. Give a little flair to the team, and then the team would move on from that player, getting another player in a trade or something else to that effect to get them to where they want to. They couldn't imagine that he would turn out to be an MVP level QB. They did not imagine that he would turn out to be the second highest scoring quarterback in the last 10 years. They did not think that he would be able to throw the ball at the level that he is throwing it at. Because I believe he's accounted for almost 200 touchdowns. Something of that effect. So what you have now is a cesspool of untruths, deception, and not just untruths, but untold truths. Get where I'm coming from? An omission of truth is a lie. It's a lie. You have watched this player not only grow, but exponentially grow every single season he's been under center. We've seen when his weapons are operating around him, he is unstoppable, to say the least. And the only QB that has averaged more than him point-wise, with this offense being headed by him, has been a Patrick Mahomes team who is headed by Andy Reid, probably a top 2, top 3 offensive mind or genius that has ever coached in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, a top 3 deep threat that has ever played in the NFL. And a Travis Kelce, a top 3 tight end that has ever played in the NFL. So please tell me, if he's keeping up with them, doing more with less, wouldn't it be mathematically possible that he could do more with more? Tell me if that doesn't make sense, everybody. Bruh. Please tell me if that doesn't make sense. And this is where the conundrum comes ahead. Because guess what? This notion that the Ravens might just have to trade him. Let me let y'all understand something real quick. You can leave a comment if you don't agree. Lamar Jackson holds all the leverage. What do you think? He could just go off into, we'll just trade him and get a haul of picks. That's not how it works. If Lamar Jackson right now, because a team is going to talk to him, they're not just going to talk to a team. They're not just going to talk to the Ravens. I want you to understand it because he's franchise tagged. So they're like, we're going to trade him and get a haul of picks. I'm going to get into something else later. But they're going to get a whole of picks, and we're just going to be fine as an organization. We got our defensive anchor in Roquan Smith. We got our number 1 corner in Marlon Humphrey. And we got our great safety in Marcus Williams. And without having to play Lamar, we can get another QB on a rookie contract so that we can continue to try to build the team in the defensive likeness of the 2000 Ravens. But here's the kicker, what a lot of you don't understand. No team is going to trade for a player of Lamar's caliber if Lamar's not on board. Because if he's traded, do you know what has to happen? A contract has to happen. Do you know what has to happen for that to be? That means he has to be in agreements with that team that he'll go there and sign long term. That means if Lamar doesn't want to go, a trade doesn't happen because the team will not say, we're going to give you 3 number 1s for a player that's only going to be here 1 year. What team is going to say we're going to rent a player for 3 first-round picks? And that's the crux of the foolishness that I'm hearing coming out of this fan base. Lamar holds all the cards. We're the proud Ravens. And we're not held down by one player. That player can make this team's life a nightmare. A living nightmare. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. The Ravens are not going to give him up for nothing. That's not happening. They are not giving away Lamar Jackson for nothing. Some of you, we'll just get rid of him then. How? Just let him walk? For you thinking that, do you know what needs to happen? That's what needs to happen. I'm talking WWE SmackDown slap to the chest. Because it's not even rooted in common sense or truth. Why do you think Deshaun Watson was able to garner that contract? Do you think it was because of his boyish charms and good looks and understanding of football? No! He started a bidding war. A bidding war. That's what would happen with Lamar. And then he would get to pick wherever he goes. Because if he says, I'm not going, or if you could send me there, but I'm not signing long term, then the team's going to rescind their offer. Because there's no way of them actually retaining him. You get it? Do you get it now? Huh? For everybody out there speaking the absolute drivel that is coming up on my timeline? That's the problem. And guess what? This is not Lamar's fault. This is the Ravens' fault. They could have, after his MVP season, I want you to understand this. His first full season of starting was his second year. He won his MVP. He goes into the playoffs the very next year and wins his first playoff game. You could have signed him then. You could have signed him after his MVP season. You could have signed him after he won the playoff game. You could have signed him after last season. You let it fester. You let it drag on. And you didn't want to compensate him properly. Do you know what everybody knows? What a lot of Raven fans don't seem to know? The QB market goes up. Always. It doesn't go down. What did you think was going to happen by waiting? A lot of Raven fans were out there even speaking at those times. Oh, he's not worth Josh Allen money. He's not worth Patrick Mahomes money. Now those are deals. Those are steals. Hey, did you see Kyler Murray's contract? Huh? Did you see Russell Wilson's contract? Huh? Did you? Do you have eyes? Do you have ocular ineptitude? And this is where it becomes a problem. Because everybody knows the truth, but you refuse to acknowledge it. You refuse to call it truth, and you refuse to change direction in your thinking because you're comfortable in it. And that's not just idiocy, it's sad. It's deplorable. The situation that the Ravens are in, think about it, are all they're doing. They refuse to get the weapons to put around him. They said, we'll just keep drafting, even though they've never drafted a wide receiver. Please name one. Name a great receiver the Ravens have ever drafted. Every single organization has drafted at least one all-pro receiver. Or if they haven't drafted, then they've brought in and traded for an all-pro receiver. Do not say Steve Smith. Because I know a lot of people, we had Steve Smith. We got the after version of Steve Smith. The best at the time wide receiver that we've ever drafted or that's ever been brought to this team at the time was Anquan Bolden. And it's not even close, actually. As good as Steve Smith was, Anquan Bolden was the best receiver that they've ever brought into the building. Because Steve Smith in his prime would easily be the best. But he wasn't in his prime, was he? He was way past it. I'll keep saying this. Every team, and I made sure I added it too, because not just drafted. Listen, if you want to say just drafted, every team has except for the Ravens. That's crazy. You have been, as an organization, absolutely horrible at getting wide receivers to the draft. Every team. Because remember, I know some people are like, what about the Patriots? I don't remember them having Wes Welker. Like, are you forgetting the almost 1,600-yard receiver that they had over there? The greatest slot receiver ever? The Ravens have never had a great wide receiver. So the idea that they would just hit and strike gold in the wide receiver market is foolish. That's beyond insanity. Because it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years they've been trying this. They've been trying this since their inception. And they've missed every single time. If you saw somebody shooting a basketball and you saw that they can hit shots everywhere else, but a particular space on the court, they've missed every single shot for, 30 years, would you trust them to shoot the ball there again? And would you say, they'll eventually hit on one, we'll give them 5 more tries? Or would you say that the truth is in the pudding? That's the problem with the Ravens. So for anybody saying that, if they drafted receivers around him, and They've been drafting receivers. Name any of them that have been great. You get where I'm coming from? Now, Hollywood Brown was good. He's not great. He's a good receiver. He's an okay receiver. Had 1,000 yards even. He barely made 1,000 yards with an extra game playing. That's 17 games, and he had the 10th most targets in the entire NFL. And this is why I keep trying to get through to people the understanding of saying they have failed, monumentally failed, Lamar Jackson. Because instead of giving him the weapons that he needs to be successful, you guys said, no, we'll go the cheap route. Instead of making sure that you protect him, because you don't got weapons now. So there's always two ways of looking at things. If you're not going to invest into weapons like the Patriots used to, remember, the Patriots never used to invest in the weapons like that. Do you know what you do then? You build up the offensive line so that those weapons can get open. Did the Ravens do that? I know some of you are going, oh, we finally drafted Linderbaum. How many seasons did Lamar Jackson get hurt until Linderbaum was here? And that's just a center. Oh, don't like the truth, do you? And that's the crux of the situation. Lamar Jackson's not injury prone. His team just failed him. Do you remember Joe Burrow? There's so many Raven fans that I've heard that say, oh, I wish we would have got Joe Burrow. I've actually heard this out of Raven fans. Y'all forget that Joe Burrow snapped his leg in half because his team failed to protect him. Any player, every player, this is the NFL, injury is guaranteed. Your job as the team is to help to mitigate as much as that guaranteed injury as you possibly can. Please tell me how they've done that. We have explosive backs like J.K. Dobbins that hasn't even had 15 carries in a game. So you're not saying that they're leaning on the run game because the run game is Lamar. You can't say he can lean on the pass game because he doesn't have the adequate weapons to do that consistently, game in and game out. Well, just sit in the pocket and make the necessary reads. But the O-line isn't great in pass pro. So this is a trinity, a holy trinity of a conundrum that was created on the absurdity of the Ravens. And now that everything has come ahead, because remember, this is all their fault, they are saying, no mas. It's not really our fault. Have some understanding. Please. 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 Us Raven fans have been absolutely salivating at the idea of having a great QB. Do you know what we got when we finally said we got a great? Not only did we get a QB that wins, because Justin Herbert is not a guaranteed winner. He's not. He's the first year making the playoffs. But he wins. And on top of him winning, he is the most exciting individual player in the entire NFL. So we got best of both worlds. And to even throw a little more flavor in that pot, they got an authentic QB, not a workplace drone. Authentic. Something that the fan base can connect with. So he checked off every box of what we wish and desired would be in Baltimore. We wish we had a QB that was a leader. Check. Wish we had a QB that could relate to the fans. Check. We wanted a QB that could win. Check. Dynamic. Check. Throw. Check. And would be able to be candid with the media. Check. 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 And you guys fumbled it. I'll keep saying this. I really hope that we beat the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. But if Lamar Jackson does not come back, I do not blame him. I do not blame him. I blame Steve Bisciotti. I blame EDC, and I blame John Harbaugh. This is a mess that you guys created. This is the bed that you guys made, and now you got to lay in it. Because you can't ask a player to sacrifice their long-term longevity in the league when you have yet to promise them longevity on your particular team. Things don't work like that. This is not a fairy tale. This is not a Disney movie. And guess what? They don't always live happily ever after. And this is one of the few times when I'm usually when you're a fan, you're like, look, I'm with the team because the team is going to be the team with you and the team is going to be the team without you. I'm totally on the player side with this one. Totally. Unmitigated so. Because the Ravens not only fumbled and hurt, to me, their image and how they've handled this, but they've hurt the fans' belief in them moving forward. And that, my friends, is the true loss in this entire situation. And that was another episode of The Wunderkind Show. Hey, listen, man, y'all can be anywhere else in the world, but you're hearing me, and you know I appreciate that. Please do remember, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. You already know I'm going to respond to them. We don't have to agree. You know what I'm saying? Just be cordial, be respectful, and let's get to these talks. You feel me? But once again, and I do not want to forget, The Wunderkind Show is growing every single day. And if you would like to help it grow monetarily, at the bottom of the screen is a QR code for the Cash App. Because we're not big enough right now to have super chats, right? And the Cash App will help the content grow, add more things to it, and help it be more amazing for you. And that will also be in the description, the money sign, The Wunderkind Show. So once again, this is The Wunderkind Show. This is your host, Nitro, signing off. And you guys knows my slogan. Peace. And I'm out of here. Yerp!